A little birdie told me you like fashion and film? Well, you've come to the right place. But first, let's introduce our hostess for today, Amelie Maria.
Hello, it's been a hot minute, and today I'm going to show you 10 films that have great outfits in them because you can take outfit inspiration from films and not just social media platforms such as Pinterest and real life as well, but movies too. Wow, what a shocker. Anyway, of course I cannot name every single great movie under the sun because then this video would be way too long, and I don't think anyone's interested in watching a 30-minute video. Anyway, enjoy the ride. First and foremost, the 1995's cult classic Party Girl starring Parker Posey, and the description reads,
When getting arrested for an illegal rave, Mary asks her Aunt Judy for bail money, but she offers her a job as a librarian.
If you weren't already convinced by that description, you will be by the incredible outfits in this movie. Mary is very, how do I put this? Mary wears very just dramatic outfits throughout the film, very, I don't know, eccentric, throwing bright colors, mini skirts, sheer fabrics, knee-high socks, platform shoes, gloves, and dramatic accessories. And Mary's style is very dramatic. She wears like fur coats with collared thighs, not collared thighs, sorry, thighs. Mary undergoes a very like significant transformation from, a typical carefree party enthusiast to a very disciplined librarian, and this evolution is just masterfully depicted through her wardrobe. And the costume designer is the one and only Michael Clancy. And if you're into like 90s fashion, I would totally check this out. I'm appalled to say that I hadn't heard of this movie until I saw Sabrina Carpenter's video clip for Taste, and my entire For You page was just people pointing out the references between Death Becomes Her, amongst other movies, and Taste, and I was like, oh, I might have to check this out for myself because it looked so good, and it was honestly just as good as I hoped it would be. It is just what I like in movies. It is so incredibly campy. But the description is that Madeline, played by Meryl Streep, is married to Ernest, who was once arch rival Helen's fiance. Helen vows to kill Madeline and steal back Ernest. But unfortunately for everyone, the introduction of a magic potion causes things to be a great deal more complicated than a murder plot. Let that sink in, because doesn't that sound so insane and incredible to you? Because it did to me. Anyway, to get into the wardrobe and the clothing, we have Madeline, played by Meryl Streep, and Madeline's wardrobe exudes old Hollywood glamour. She's often adorned in very sleek, form-fitting gowns with plunging necklines reminiscent of the 1930s and 1940s, while Helen, played by Goldie Hawn, is initially depicted as a bit more boring, sorry for the lack of a better word of it, for it, but her post-potion ensembles are much more sophisticated and sultry, and she opts for more elegant dresses in rich and dark hues, symbolizing her newfound confidence after taking the potion and going to the darker path. And although she's not one of the main characters, I have to point out Liesel, played by the incredible Isabella Rossellini, who I love, as you can tell. Anyway, her attire is just otherworldly and beyond beautiful. She often appears in quite revealing outfits with intricate jewelry and sort of emphasizing the seductive nature of the eternal youth that she offers. Alright, the third film we're going to be talking about is Mahogany. And Mahogany follows Tracy Chambers, who is a working class woman who rises to fame in the fashion world. And the film is a visual spectacle, let me tell you, and Tracy's wardrobe is really like at the heart of the movie and of that transformation. And unlike most films where the costume designer or the stylist takes care of all the looks and crafts all the looks, Diana Ross actually took matter into her own hands and created some of the beautiful looks we see in this movie, and I think that's just really cool. Alright, Tracy starts off in very tailored but modest outfits. Think high-waisted skirts, fitted blouses, coats in neutral colors, reflecting her position as an assistant in a department store. And as Tracy's career takes off, her wardrobe becomes more avant-garde and theatrical. Think flamboyant gowns with dramatic silhouettes, oversized collars, rich colors. As you may know, I love the bigger the better rule, and that is successfully applied to this movie as well. Not only when it comes to the hair, but also to the eyelashes, which I think is just really cool and is kind of a hint to the next movie that I'm going to be talking about. What I also think is really cool about this movie is that fashion is used as a storytelling tool. Each outfit really tracks Tracy's rise and fall and self-discovery, so I think that's just really cool. Yeah. Okay, this is technically not a movie, but it's so worth mentioning. It is the 90s sitcom The Nanny. This is one of my favorite shows of all time because it's actually so funny. And of course, The Nanny is known for her style.
I'm known for my style.
Fran honestly is just an all-time fashion icon, and the show's fashion was really heavily influenced by 90s runway trends featuring designers like Moschino, Dolce & Gabbana, Versace, and Todd Oldham. And Brenda Cooper, who was the show's stylist, intentionally made Fran's wardrobe very bold and high fashion to contrast with the conservative upper class Sheffield family. Fran's outfits always accentuate her figure with very form-fitting miniskirts or crop jackets, and she frequently wears matching sets and two-piece suits and structured dresses. And what I love is just like every character wears outfits that really match their personality. And of course, I have to talk about Maggie, Gracie, and my girl Cece as well. Begin with Maggie. Maggie starts off wearing quite preppy and conservative clothing like turtlenecks, plaid skirts, blazers, and so on. And in later seasons, she embraces more trendy and fitted outfits as she gains confidence. And of course, she's less bold than Fran is, but still very stylish. Gracie is the youngest of the Sheffield family, and she starts off wearing a lot of collared dresses, tights, cardigans that really reflect her upper class upbringing, and her outfits are always like structured and neat, reinforcing the little adult personality that she has. Now, Susie Babcock, also known as Chastity Claire. Susie is Fran's rival and is always like the epitome of 90s chic and is dressed in pantsuits, fitted dresses, pencil skirts, like silk blouses or structured blazers. And her outfits are polar opposite to Fran's more playful clothing, and Cece sticks to more neutral colors like black or white, whereas Fran wears all kind of colors and like sequins. And to quote Miss Babcock herself,
I would be caught dead in that dress.
right, another cult classic that may not be everyone's cup of tea, but certainly is mine, is Barbara Hooven's Showgirls, and the description reads, fresh to Las Vegas with no connections, Naomi Malone takes a job as a dancer, and her talents are quickly noticed by Crystal, a headlining dancer who senses an opportunity to bolster her own act, but Naomi won't play second fiddle and soon begins her venomous path to the top, backstabbing everyone who gets in her way. How does that sound to you? Because to me it sounds incredible, but you do you. Anyway, if you weren't already convinced by that description alone, let me get into the outfits. Naomi begins in cheap streetwear, leather jackets, miniskirts, and animal prints reflecting her outsider status. Whereas the performance outfits are very extravagant and hypersexual, small bikinis covered in rhinestones, feathered headdresses, and thigh-high boots. And as Naomi climbs the ranks, she starts wearing sleeker designer-inspired pieces, like Versace.
Dress.
Thanks. It's a Versace.
Oh, but she starts wearing more like tight-fitted dresses, metallic fabrics, and very plunging necklines. And you can really tell that the hit show Euphoria took inspiration from Showgirls when it comes to the makeup, which is just immaculate as well. And there are a lot of like glitter rhinestones with high shine lips, and both are used to emphasize hyper feminine beauty, and the most obvious parallel being Maddie and Naomi.
My mic decided to call it a day, so I'm gonna have to make this video without a mic. Vogue described it as the ultimate fashion romance, and that is the 2000s In the Mood for Love. The film is set in 1962's Hong Kong with two neighbours who form a very strong bond after they both suspect extramarital activities from both their spouses. And the film's costumes are designed by William Chang, and they serve as a very visual language that conveys the characters' inner struggle. The fashion is as much part of the storytelling as the incredible cinematography and the music is. Listen to me when I say that. Mrs. Chang's wardrobe is dominated by stunning cheap houses, each featuring high necks, fitted bodices, and elegant or floral geometrical prints. And the evolution of her wardrobe mirrors the progression of the story. Initially, her dresses are bright and patterned, later transitioning to more darker and moodier tones, reflecting her growing sadness and the feeling of entrapment. To me, In the Mood for Love is one of the most visually stunning movies ever made, and if you like the colors green and red, you'll love this movie, trust me. I like having this little mic in my hand. But anyway, the next one is perhaps a bit silly to some of you, but to me it isn't, because I did not play about these movies as a kid, that being the older animated Barbie films. And I'm saying older because I was born in 2004 and I haven't seen any movie after 2011, so yeah. When we look at the early Barbie films such as Barbie and the Nutcracker, Barbie as Rapunzel, Barbie of Swan Lake, Barbie and Princess and the Pauper and so forth, they are very visually distinct from the more recent modernized Barbie movies, and these films really embrace a very ultra feminine, fantasy driven aesthetic that blends in with the fairy tale couture from the early 2000s. Almost every single Barbie film features voluminous skirts, shimmering fabric, pastel colours reminiscent of the Disney Renaissance princess fashion. Many gowns in the Barbie movies have an off-the-shoulder silhouette, corseted bodices, detailed embroidery invoking different historical influences often seen in Barbie's royal attire. Of course, not all of these are historically accurate, but I don't expect them to be. But I must say that the secondary characters in the Barbie movies are dressed quite well. So, exclusive clique of teenage socialites accidentally murdered a best friend on the morning of a birthday. The three girls responsible conspired to hide the truth. And this is of course the iconic cult classic, another cult classic that merges satire with comedy, the 1999's Jawbreaker. With ultra girly, hyper stylized outfits, the film's costumes exaggerate the concept of feminine power and deception through clothing. And the girls' clothing is inspired by 1950s pin-up fashion, mod aesthetics, and high-gloss 90s trends. And Rose McGowan's character is called Courtney, and Courtney really embodies the evil queen trope in very tight dresses, often in red, whereas Julie and Marcy wear more candy-colored crop tops, mini skirts, and matching heels, really like embodying the hyper girly, coordinated girl group. What I personally really adore about this movie is that it associates pastels with deception, like sweet on the outside but deadly underneath, which I found really interesting because it kind of parallels what we see on social media with like tradwives promoting being a tradwife and looking very sweet and delicate and not mentioning the harm, which I won't get into, but I just thought that was really interesting. Okay, the second to last film that I want to be talking about is What a Way to Go. This lavish comedic fantasy is about a woman who repeatedly marries rich men who all mysteriously die, and this is a visual spectacle from the 1960s high fashion excess. The film stars Shirley MacLaine, who wears very extravagant custom-made gowns by the legendary Edith Head, and every marriage phase features a new over-the-top aesthetic from like very Aubrey Hepburn chic to full-blown futuristic glam. And when I tell you that the coats and the dresses in this movie are to die for. I'm actually being serious. I would rob her closet. Louisa, give me your clothes. Anyway, in the opening scenes, Louisa's dressed in very simple, demure outfits. Her clothes emphasize modesty and traditional femininity, fitting the character's earlier belief that she wants a simple life. And every outfit in this movie is larger than life. They are so well done, and it's really mocking the way society equates wealth with happiness, and the film uses exaggeration as satire, and the film really explores multiple fashion movements like that of the 1950s, the 1960s, but also like the futuristic glam I was talking about earlier. So please go watch this if you're into any of that. The last movie that I want to talk about is 1950s Cinderella, and this movie is actually a film that mentions clothing and sewing quite a lot. We have Mice dedicating a song to creating Cinderella's pink dress, and the fairy godmother transforming Cinderella's tear dress into a beautiful white bluish gown. And though Cinderella is set in a fairy tale kingdom inspired by the 18th to 19th century, there's a lot of debate what century it is. The animation and the style and the costume designs borrow heavily from the contemporary 1950s fashion trends, and I find this fusion really interesting and aesthetically pleasing as well. You have, of course, Cinderella's ball gown, which mirrors the Christian Dior new look from the 1950s, and I do not exactly agree with why this new look was created, but it dominated the fashion in the 1940s and the 1950s. You have, of course, the tiny waist, the voluminous skirts, and the structured bodice effect, and it really reflects the ultra-feminine hourglass ideals of the post-war fashion. Even her dress work, her apron, and like the fitted bodice and full skirts aligns with the 1950s house dresses, reinforcing like domestic femininity as a cultural expectation. And the stepmother and the stepsisters, in contrast, wear stiffer, exaggerated silhouettes mimicking the older, more outdated styles, suggesting that they are out of touch with the elegance that Cinderella embodies. As I've mentioned before, it is impossible for me to go over every single movie with great costume design, but these are some of my personal favorites, and if you have any recommendations, please leave them in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.